Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to week 2 of the Prime Meta League. I am Ackolyte, bringing you the play-by-play, and I've got my friend Kazi supporting me on the color casting tonight. Kazi, how we doing, my friend?
Doing pretty well, Ackolyte. How about yourself?
Feeling good. I'm ready to get into another week of some Prime League of Legends. I was able to, I think we were on that co-cast last week of the Murder of Crows, or the makeshift Murder of Crows team. And I mean, that was a lot of fun, but we're getting back into a serious roster. It's actually playing for a game. It's no longer an exhibition match. We saw a lot of good stuff from Murder of Crows. They took a very, very long game. And I want to see if they're going to bring that same kind of intensity this week.
I mean, I'm sure the intensity is going to be there. The real question is whether or not the same thing is going to work twice, right? Looking at like a new team, or not a new team, I should say, but like a new team to them, not having played before. This is the first time these teams have been able to face each other so far in this split. I think both teams are eager to try and figure out what kind of strategies are going to work all the time versus which ones are going to work against specific teams. That being said, it looks like we're getting started with the draft. We've got a Varus and a Nami ban from the side of Jumbos, and it looks like Murder of Crows has banned Ambessa and Timo.
And that's the ban I saw coming a mile away. The top laner played 5 times as many games on Mbessa, and I'm talking like 350 ranked games of Mbessa alone. So we knew that one was going to be coming. The Timo being from the jungle pick, and I think that's just the Brox's special, not wanting to play around the shrooms. It can get kind of annoying. And then, Nar being able to kind of solo carry against the melees in the top lane.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Ambessa is also just like a very powerful pick in a vacuum that's easily blind pickable, and one of like the primary first pick risks that you give to blue side when it comes to power. And it looks like Jumbo's actually going ahead and starting with the draft just because Jumbo's went through their bans pretty quickly and Murder of Crow seems to have reciprocated. Looks like we're going to start with the Skarner pick. How do you feel about this pick nowadays?
I mean, is Captain Flowers playing tonight? That's the only Skarner I've really seen recently. I haven't seen Skarner in quite a bit. Does have those gank angles where he can go through the terrain with his E. But I think there's just so many ways to play around the Skarner nowadays, with the tank supports and the peeling supports and this meta. So kind of an off pick. I noticed that Purple Unicorn from Jumbos, he's listed as support in the team roster. He is a Skarner main. Could it be a Skarner support? I'm not sure. Maybe he's just a jungler going in the support role. But answering with a Xin Zhao and a Jinx, that tells to me hyper carry comp.
Yeah, so I mean, Jinja is a pretty standard jungler. Very powerful, decent skirmisher, good at getting a lot of priority on objectives without having to lean on his laners. Obviously, a pretty good ganker and falls off a little bit towards the late game. Jinx is just your typical typical hyperscaling AD carry. Xin Zhao probably holding a lot of that power budget in the early to mid game in order to try and get Jinx online, get her to 3 items, get her to the point where she's basically playing against the entire team by herself. It looks like Jumbos is going to respond with an Ezreal pick, which is going to be more or less a slightly pressured but mostly handshake lane against the Jinx, depending on their support pick. Ezreal is an excellent fallback AD carry if you don't plan to play around a hyper carry. And that's what I'm really looking for from Jumbo's side as they go ahead and lock in a Scion pick, which is just going to be a huge meaty tank. Just a huge blob for people to get to. And it's interesting playing this double tank huge front line without a traditional hyperscaler, and it makes me anticipate a pretty strong, pretty high DPS mid laner coming out from Jumbos.
I could see that coming too. The mid laner on Jumbos does love to play his control mages. I saw a lot of Oriana and Mel in his match history. But they answer with the Volibear. Volibear able to use that max percent health shred with his W if he's able to get the bite again and again and again. Ezreal can dip dodge around all these different people, can get out of Xin Zhao's range pretty easily and can kind of kite out the Volibear. Jinx not so privy to being able to be mobile as an answer. So positioning going to be a lot bigger burden on the side of Murderer Crows. As we go into the second round of bans, we see the Mel ban being taken away or Mel being banned away. Just can be so strong with the shield and the reflect. I don't see anything that they'd really be worried about reflecting right now, but I mean, it's just such a power pick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Mel is just a really strong champion and exactly the type of hyper carry mid laner that Jumbos is kind of setting up for here. On the other hand, Jumbos themselves is banning out two of the safer supports that you can pick to peel your Jinx, especially throughout that mid and late game when you transition into that team fighting state. Really just standard through and through here. Oh, Vex is a really interesting pick coming out here from Murder of Crows.
Yeah, not something that you see too often in, I mean, professional play at least, but Vex does have the fear, so basically can sit on top of the Jinx in case someone engages on them, so you have that little bit of extra peel, or also has the threat of that backline dive with the R as well. Hui is an answer. Hui has that really long range, so might be able to poke down the enemy before they can even get a chance to engage. So I kind of like this answer from, oh, I spoke too soon. It's a Victor instead.
Yeah, and Victor being a pretty traditional scaling mage, perhaps not perhaps not as perhaps not as high scaling as something like a oh, that's very interesting. It looks like we might be hovering, indicating silent support, but not as hyper scaling as the Mel or even the Hui, but definitely providing a lot of DPS. And it looks like we are going to be flexing one of these Scion or Skarner picks to bot lane, as Viego is probably going to be in the jungle, and that's going to provide an answer as to why we picked these two heavy tanks, because one of them is going to be not making a ton of gold, and will likely not be the hyperscaling tank that we usually see from either a Skarner or a Scion.
The support main, Purple Unicorn from Jumbos, is a Skarner main right now, has the most games on Skarner. 50 games, I think, so far this season. Next biggest was 16, I believe. So Thresh is being picked as an answer. Very anti-dive with the Flay, with the box, trying to be able to control that zone around the Jinx. I don't think Jinx has to be too worried about dive. I mean, Skarner can be a little bit scary with his ultimate and coming through the walls. We also have the Unstoppable Onslaught from Scion, but as long as they're able to group around and position effectively, that Jinx could effectively be in a bubble and be able to just shred. As long as they build correctly, I'm seeing a Kraken Slayer first item myself. I don't know if you feel differently.
Yeah, I mean, hyper carry builds are something we'll probably talk about a little bit more as the game actually goes on. But I am very excited to see where Jumbos decides to actually put their champions. Just because I would say Skarner and Scion, well, both being flexible enough to be able to be played in different roles, are definitely not traditional supports, and also both are probably going to struggle pretty heavily into this Thresh Vex comp that Murder of Crows has actually built around their 80 carry here. That being said, I am pretty excited to see what's next, and we look forward to go ahead and getting into this game.
Yeah, I mean, comfort over everything when it comes into these pre-made draft leagues. I mean, you can talk about, oh, this champion's OP right now, this champion would be ideal in this comp, but if you're not comfortable on that champion, if you're not able to execute and micro the buttons and push what needs to be pushed at the right time, then it really doesn't mean anything. So Jumbo's definitely erring on the side of comfort. Murderer Crows has I didn't see too many of these picks in their solo queue, but again, that solo queue, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors in those custom lobbies.
Yeah, of course. And also like, these players are definitely there's definitely some amount of these players trying to make sure that they keep certain things under wraps just to make sure that other teams can't see them. And we saw that as last season uh really got towards the latter half, but it's very possible that some of these guys are hiding pocket picks just to make sure that they can get banned out or targeted really easy in these in these pick and ban phases. That being said, uh, I think we probably got. I would say if I'm looking at these comps holistically, I think
Mhm.
Murder of Crows is a little bit more cohesive and has a little bit clearer of a game plan, while Jumbo's seems to be a little bit lost. There's definitely some characters here that play very, very well on their own, particularly Victor Ezreal. But it looks like they might lack a lot of damage, especially as they get towards that late game. I don't really see them having the tools to necessarily get to the Jinx and stop her from doing what she needs to do, especially considering that she'll have two virtual supports come late game between the Vex and the Thresh, and the Vex will still be a threat in and of herself.
100%. I mean, you can see they opt for DPS in the form of Viego. I mean, we have Victor as a control mage, and he's going to be doing burn. The typical build for a Victor is a Blackfire Torch and maybe some time of Leandries to kind of burn through that bear. But Viego usually goes to that Kraken Slayer. He's able to proc it really fast with his Q and his passive. Um, so maybe being able to shred them down, get the resets, but it's definitely a comp from Jumbos that could flex a lot of different ways. I mean, we talked about getting onto the Jinx, not a lot of ways for them to get on the Jinx, but at the same time, they don't really have a lot to get onto the Ezreal. Yeah, Volibear can kind of run at him, or maybe they can get like a hook if they're lucky to get the engage. But if Ezreal is able to just fire Q after Q after Q, the tanks create space, the Victor Gravity Field creates space, they might be able to outplay these fights long enough for Ezreal to wrap up that damage and really be that hyper scaling carry that Ezreal is capable of being if the game goes right.
Sure, sure. I mean, there is something to be said for Murder of Crow's team being somewhat susceptible to poke. Historically, Volibear is not the type of champion you want solo engaging. Xin Zhao also has to find a way to get in range in order to truly maximize his potential. Uh, but I still just think that it's gonna be really hard if you're looking like pound for pound, damage for damage. It's just gonna be hard to match the stat check that Jinx provides in the late game. That being said, looks like as we get in the game, Skarner is going to be in that support role, like you said. Sion is going to go ahead and be top lane. Viego is going to be the jungler on the side of Jumbos, and then from Murder of Crows, we'll have Volibear in the top lane and Xin Zhao in the jungle, in case anybody was wondering about a potential flex there, as well as the standard Vex in the mid lane, Jinx in the bot lane, and Thresh in the support role.
That's a really nice skin for Thresh. Do you have a personal favorite, or what's your favorite skin in the game? Let me ask you that, I guess.
Favorite skin in the game is Dunkmaster Darius. The only skin that is worth buying in this game is Dunkmaster Darius. I will be winning the Dunkmaster Darius at the upcoming Riftbound Invitational or Riftbound Qualifier in LA.
Okay.
One way or the other, it is the only skin. As far as I'm concerned, I have plenty of skins because League of Legends gives them away for free nowadays, but I think that's got to be like Master Darius is the best skin in the game, and I won't hear any other opinions because they don't matter because they're not mine.
Okay, I won't even bother sharing my own then. We
Yeah,
have
that's what I
loaded
thought.
onto the
Ex-
Rift. We're getting
hold
ready to
up.
go. Early pings coming out in the mid lane. Looks like maybe we'll just go standard.
Yeah, probably most of the time. In my short time casting this league, most of the time we get standard fans. Sometimes we get a little bit of action bot if both players are gonna play for that mid brush, which it looks like we are actually. Lots of pings going down there. Both are going to be seeing each other. Ezreal is actually going to take a hook here.
Trading damage. You always want your AD carry to be pretty healthy, but Viego taking a little bit of heat too. Asakita is able just to walk away through 3 people. Takes a pretty good chunk, but it delays the start of the jungle for Viego just a little bit. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to make any significant damage or to the tempo of the game. Xin Zhao is a pretty fast clear, and we're going to see, are they going to standard full clear, or we're going to get a little creative?
Remember, kids, never start a skill before you see your first champion. There is no reason to not take CC in that instance, because if you do, that Vex is dead before the game starts, and you're going to be able to snowball that lead.
Or at the very least, you're going to be able to get a flash out of them and take advantage of the flashless immobile laner. But look at that damage already below half HP, and we've only had, what, 1 wave of minions?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like the pressure didn't do anything, right? Also, Victor, even in the early levels when he doesn't quite have all the power, is still notoriously good at
They hit the level
waves
too.
and hitting minions. But it looks like, ooh, early first blood coming out for the Ezreal. Just face tanking the very, excellent engage from Skarner. Good job, dude. Good job, purple unicorn. I'm sure there was absolutely nothing that the AD carry and support could have done there in order to make sure that didn't happen.
I guess the only thing would have been to just flash the E sooner. You
or
probably
like
never.
walk.
I mean, how many people have played against a Skarner in the bot lane for support?
Yeah, that's actually pretty fair. It I don't know how to play against characters like that.
So that level 2, I saw they were getting that push to early 2. I saw the pings going down, and Skarner said, "I'm going for it," and Ezreal said, "All right, bet, I'll follow up." And they get the first blood. Volibear going really low. They're fighting to the death right here. PTA is procced onto Volibear. They both flash away. Are the minions going to be able to do it? Winions are
Oh
going to
my
take down
god, there's one
Volibear.
more. Yep. Oh, they're both dead.
Sides.
Huge. This is actually going to be a lane state that's slightly better for the Scion, just because he's going to be able to shove that wave in and get a little bit of a bounce there. But ultimately, exactly what we expect from top lane. Just two dudes scrapping it out honorably, dying at the same time, and making sure that they handshake 400 gold to each other. But we've got another engage in the bot lane here.
Death Sentence lands onto Skarner. He's going to be able just to slither away. Is that what Scorpions do? But Xin Zhao is here. Hits the E onto Victor. Gravity Field goes down. The follow-up W lands and marks him, but he's not going to be able to follow up with the damage. And Victor's just going to answer back. Viego is
with
here.
The counter engage.
Goes invisible channels. Looks like he tried to flash it onto the Vex instead. A little bit of stutter on my end. But Viego is forced to flee, and Xin Zhao has the Conqueror fully stacked.
And
it looks like
ultimately,
no
a pretty neutral game state, considering all the action that just happened on the map right there. But neutral is going to slightly favor blue side until the first dragon comes up. Oh my god, and that's another...
Oh, a double kill too with that.
It's looking rough down there. Maybe Skarner Ford is just OP. Maybe we just don't know.
I mean, if you talk about Jinx being that late game hyper carry, well, it doesn't matter if you don't get to late game.
It does not matter if you don't get there. 100%. You cannot spend gold that you don't have.
Exactly, and I mean, we saw it was a great engage to start off with. Thresh did land the death sentence, but that just means Ezreal was going unmarked and was just throwing all kinds of damage. He's running lethal tempo as well, so that is an all-in Ezreal. Meanwhile, on the top side, Volibear is able to follow up, get the multiple bites. I'm kind of surprised. We see 2 longswords on the Scion, so not opting to go for the early Bramble Vest to kind of cut that healing from the Volibear, but I guess that kind of makes sense due to Volibear's damage.
Yeah, especially in the early game and for the first item, Volibear is actually more of a magic damage based character. He's probably split up until he gets his first 2 bats, and then he starts dealing a lot of magic damage for the next 15 minutes, and then he becomes a hybrid character again. I am unsure exactly what the Scion's plan is here with the double longswords, but I would imagine that he has one, especially considering he hasn't specialized in any stat, and oh my.
Just ultimates right on top of Volibear's face and gets the kill. And now Jinx and Thresh from Murderer Crows in a very bad spot. The wave is pushing away from them. They're just getting zoned off of the minions. And they just look at them menacingly while Viego takes the first dragon of the game. Going to be an Infernal Dragon to start, so a little extra power to make that poke hurt just a little bit more.
We're 5 minutes, or we're 6 minutes in, and we already have a 2,500 gold.
Vex gets stunned up. Here comes the Storm, the Death Storm from Victor. He's going to be able to clear the wave too, and there's nothing Xin Zhao can do. He just has to walk away and take a Scuttle Crab.
And it's like they're not even exchanging anything for the resources that they're giving up. They're just starving right now on the side of Murder of Crows. Jumbo's just really imposing their will, trying to make sure that they get everything on the map. And so far, it's working.
Yeah, I mean, Xin Zhao's looking to try to answer on a Scion, but that's a full HP Scion. Are they going to be able to make it happen? Here comes Volibear, uses the ultimate to nullify the tower, gets his kill back, so that's going to be second kill of the game for Murderer Crows, showing a little bit of life.
Yep, and there have been greater comebacks. That being said, that's another dead Thresh, and it looks like you got to dive here.
Yeah, True Shot Barrage does land. Jinx just walking around the tower as best they can, trying to get a slow onto whoever is taking the tower shots, but Ezreal just able to wait on the edge, fires his Mystic shots, and Viego is going to be able to take that kill for himself, gets himself onto the kill board, and it's 8-2, 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and that gold lead has ballooned again all the way to 3.5k, which is now the equivalent of one entire item, and not just one entire item, but one entire
Ooh.
item
On
at
the
a
top
point in the
lane,
game where characters do not have items. And oh, look, somebody else died.
yeah, on the top lane, they looked like they were trying to take advantage of Sion being pushed a little bit too far. That usually happens when they teleport back to lane and you try to punish the teleport. But Viego is already anticipating. Xin Zhao gets his kill, has to flash away. Flash stun misses from the Viego, but the Heartbreaker is available, doesn't even need to use it. And that's going to be a 1-for-1. Great spacing or great awareness from Viego to be there ready to pounce back on that kill.
Yeah, for sure. It's important to try and trade resources evenly, because as long as you're doing that, you're actually getting more mileage in the leading team. And we got another one breaking out in the bot lane.
Death Sentence and Flay land onto the Skarner, but Ezreal just untouched in every single one of these trades and just throwing out the deeps.
Oh, man, that is... Yeah, I mean, these trades aren't even, like, really trades, right? It's really just the Ezreal gets in some free damage, and then they find an all-in off the Skarner engage. Which, so far, Murder of Crows has not figured out a way to beat. It looks like it is not going to get much easier as the game goes on. But maybe if they start trying to gang up in around in numbers, or specifically target the carry champions that have so much gold on the side of Gorillas, then maybe they can still win.
Another dive possibly coming out. Nope, just trying to push them off the tower. They're going to take First Blood Tower at 9 minutes into the game, and that's going to unlock the bot side. Have they even finished their quest yet?
I'm not sure if they have finished their entire quest, but I am pretty sure that... Let's see... sorry, no. I think I was making it incorrect, but
Oh, but Victor uses ultimate on Vex in the mid lane, pushes him back, forces the flash out of Vex. Meanwhile, ultimate's traded on the top side as well, and Volibear's going to stay alive. We see Xin Zhao trying to use the Blast Cone to get away, but
man.
he's just trying his best to get out of here. Skarner does get there first on the roam. Thresh is there to keep him safe with the Lantern, gets the shield, teleport's getting pulled out of Vex, so big cooldowns being spent. Meanwhile, Volibear putting a little chunk onto Sion as well. And over time, I'm not sure who's going to be able to win that in the long term. Sion's up 2 levels over this Volibear. 1 level now.
Alright, yeah. It's really hard to think about what you can do from these spots, right? Especially when the gold deficit is as big as it is. It'd be different if it was just objectives, or if it's just a few kills, but honestly, like 6,000 gold at 10 minutes is, frankly, half of Murder of Crows' income is just, they're down by that chunk.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it really puts into perspective how much it hurts. But, I mean, who knows? Anything can happen in the mid-game, especially when the first towers go down and people start rotating around the map. People can get put out. Here's a stun onto the Volibear. Xin Zhao uses the dash to get on top of him. He uses the Wind Becomes Lightning and takes down Sockhorse in the top lane. And it looks like they're playing for top. That's going to be their answer to try to get back into the game.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at it, it appears that we've got a siege coming down mid. Looks like slowly but surely they want to try and take this turret. Specifically, the plates probably are a little bit more important to them, because it's one of very few ways that they can get standing infusions of gold. That's going to be a huge play from the Thresh, and it is going to almost kill the Skarner. The Ezreal is just so fed. Jinx is taking so much damage. He can't even walk up to finish the kill. And it looks like we're going to get... Yes, perfect. I'm sorry. Looks like we're going to go ahead and get this turret down mid lane sooner rather than later at this point.
Yeah, Jinx did have the Super Mega Death Rocket, but probably didn't think they had enough to execute the Skarner to even fire it off. So, still sitting on that cooldown. But that's second tower of the game, and the map is just opening wide up for Jumbos.
Alright, and now we have a small promotion for it. Excuse me. Sorry. Thinking of something else. Apologies. Okay.
No worries. I mean,
Focusing
Skarner with a
on
little drive-by. Oh,
yeah,
there's
looks like
Ezreal. He's caught in the wrong spot. He E's on the other side of the Volibear. It tanks all the damage. Volibear flashes on top of him. Here comes a Super Mega Death Rocket. Not going to land on the person that they
tickles
want.
slightly.
Volibear just turns around to try to get some damage done. Kill from Xin Zhao, but the Heartbreaker from Viego is going to land, and he's going to get those resets. That's 2 kills onto the jungler for Jumbo.
And Viego has always been notorious at being able to take those cleanup situations and convert them into really clean kills. Even though Murder of Crows did find a return kill there, it was still probably... Yeah, still probably just not worth it for Murder of Crows because they lose the objective and they lose the gold in their champion kills. So that's going to be 2 drags and a Herald, and I believe Grubs all falling the way of Team Jumbo. It does make me curious who is going to try and do it again, because I think they know that they have a chance to be able to bait all the objectives and create those fights, even if they lose 1 or 2.
That Skarner just looks so tanky. If I see that and I'm in a position I'm at, I just feel so... I don't know what the right word would be to describe it, but it's just what kind of damage do you have to get through that front line. Viego tries to land the stun, forces the flash out of Thresh.
Jinx literally does not have a finished item. There is nothing that can break the Skarner right now.
Definitely not at this moment. Ezreal goes on top of the Jinx, lands some abilities, but misses the Mystic Shot, misses the True Shot Barrage, and is forcing Jinx back to recall yet again. Jinx not able to stay on the map long enough to even get some farm to get up to that next item. But there it is, the Hex Optics C44. Honestly, I didn't even know that was an item in the game until recently. Having that item does help Jinx with the ranged abilities. Volibear is pretty low on the top side, and we see Viego gravitating towards that end as well. They may be looking for a gank or a counter gank. Volibear engages the damage, but is walking away. They do have a beefy Scion, but a dive is going to be coming. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Death Sentence does land onto Skarner. It does not. And the towers are just being put away. Here comes a dive. Scion gets the tower aggro. Viego cleans up the kill. And that's going to be the 14th kill of the game for Jumbo, surpassing the 1k gold lead.
Alright. So, looks like here we're getting some posturing in that mid lane as Jumbo goes ahead and pushes up against now tier 2 turret. And they're just so good at taking this down, but it looks like it got some action on the side.
And his only way out is through all the damage, and is not going to be able to take anyone down as well. And Jinx forced to limp away from the fight yet again, and there's just so much pressure from Jumbos on the map. And that's the thing about having these tanky characters, like the Scion, like the Skarner. If you're this far ahead in the game, they are able to just tower dive and really push that pedal all the way down and just accelerate the game to try to go for a fast finish. Like you said, not let the hyperscalers get online.
I mean, look, we're 15 minutes and 40-something seconds into the game, and we have a 12k gold lead on one team. Like, this is almost like a solo queue game in how it's played out. Not in that these players are playing like it's solo queue, in that, like, usually when you see people in organized 5v5 play, things are tight enough to where the leads, the margins are a lot tighter. But Jumbo is just breaking this one wide open, right over the forehead of Murder of Crows, and just turning it from, I don't know, a game of League of Legends to just a curb stomping. Looks like they're going to be able to find the third drag here as we get into the 16-minute and 45-second mark. They're fully guarded. There's no way for there's no way for Murder of Crows to really challenge it. So they're just going to take it right from them with zero vision whatsoever, telling them what's going on.
Yeah, and Murder of Crows using that opportunity just to go around the map and pick up whatever gold that they can. You have to make use of those moments to try to get some kind of plate, some kind of neutral objective, or just to answer the move with some other move at some other area if you can't contest those big objectives.
Right. And also, like, maybe looking to isolate, right? There's going to have to be some amount of extension coming out from Jumbos if they're going to try and push for the win at any given point. Although it does get harder the more objectives they get. And, oh, I hear Scion noises.
Yeah, Scion goes into top lane. We have Volibear gets the shutdown onto Viego, so they are able to get some significant gold onto a top lane carry. They are in a really awkward spot. The jungle can be very challenging with these choke points, but Murderer Crow's just trying to find some angle to stay relevant. But a solo kill onto the bot lane. The lasers fly, the Death Storm is storming, and Vex goes down. Victor picks up his second kill of the game, a solo kill. I think this first kill was a solo kill as well, if I remember correctly.
Let's see. I mean, I just think that it's one of those things where Jumbo seems to be outmatching, outplaying Murder of Crows on like an individual level. There were so many solo kills, so many 2v2 kills in that early game. By the way, another objective, Rift Herald, going down again in the favor of Jumbo. Likely looking to use that to open up even more space to operate.
Woo!
Oh, wait.
Right.
Jinx Rocket, huge. It's also probably a pretty reasonable amount of gold as well, right?
Yeah, having the, let's see, claim the bounty on the Rift Herald, 1,000 gold split for the team, so 200 gold apiece. It's something. Definitely something. Gets her a BF sword, which is going to be really nice and kind of help with that damage output that they need so desperately.
Let's see.
Oh, we see a Xin Zhao flank. He's coming from the backside. Ezreal is on the wolf camp. Vex is around Ezreal as well. Vex uses the ultimate, forces him to flee, is putting down some significant damage, gets the barrier out of Thresh, and the death sentence mad lives him from across. Here comes Jinx to pick up the kill, gets a shutdown onto Ezreal. Ezreal uses the ultimate, Xin Zhao uses the ultimate to keep himself alive, and Jinx is just free hitting onto the Victor. Another death sentence gives Jinx a double, but here comes a Volibear. Wait, I thought you were on my team. Viego goes forward with a Heartbreaker, is trying to make it land. Skarner goes forward as well, but he is just too tanky for them to cut through him, and Viego is going to pick up his third kill of this fight as well.
Yeah,
he's not done yet. Uses the ultimate to get over the wall, gets a stun onto Jinx, hits the auto attack, gets the Q, and I know it says double kill, but that's an extended triple kill for the Viego.
Yeah, for sure, and it just seems like at this point we're just going to get level and tempo diffed out by these huge advantages that Jumbo continuously creates, and the more I harp on them, the bigger they seem to grow. That being said, if you are going to win this game from Murder of Crow's side, what do you think you have to do?
I mean, from Murder of Crows, you just have to keep finding those flank angles. Like Xin Zhao, I don't know if you guys ever watched, I think it was Worlds when FlyQuest was pretty far behind, and Inspired literally made like a U shape around all of Summoner's Rift to find like a flank to make something happen. Xin Zhao did that. He was able to get onto the Ezreal, get the shutdown onto the Jinx. 2 kills going the way of Jinx. That was, let's see, how much total was that? That was 800 gold in shutdowns. 870 gold on shutdowns. Over to the Jinx. And almost going to finish that Infinity Edge. And if there's ever a time for Jinx to come online, I mean, it was like, 10 minutes ago, but you still want Jinx to come online sooner rather than later. The longer the game goes, the gold discrepancy doesn't matter.
Yeah, theoretically, but the thing is that Jumbo just continues to grow it at every opportunity, and we see another engaged bot lane where they're just going to be able to find...
Yeah, Skarner got the flash
Was that the
flow.
Skarner? Yeah.
I was surprised Jinx was able to walk out of the Skarner ultimate. I mean, not the worst thing in the world to lose your support, but now you're losing the peel that you initially had.
And honestly, it just looks like it's not getting better even after those couple of small victories. It just stays in hand.
They're moving down through the bot lane, the blue side of red team. Sorry, yeah, the blue side of red team. Clearing out the jungle, trying to take the camps. They haven't quite respawned yet, so they aren't really able to starve out the laner. But they are waiting for this third dragon in the game. That is going to be an Ocean Soul. Are we going to see another super mega death rocket swipe? Nope.
Okay, so looks like, yep, the answer is a resounding no from the car. And it looks like we're just at the point where we are starting to realize from Jumbo side that they have some holes in their vision that they'd like to fix. And once that's online, it's going to be really hard for Ludwig and his threads to be able to get everything together and put together a winning game state against something so organized. And it looks like Otacon, or not Otacon, I forgot Otacon got eliminated from the game. A slightly larger, bigger scuttle.
It's like, oh, you mean Baron? Bigger Scuttle, I'm not sure, but Volibear is found out on the bot side, is able to put the damage back down onto Viego. Viego is still pretty squishy. The bite keeps Volibear alive for just a little bit longer, but his ultimate's not going to be enough to take down the Viego, taking down his 11th kill of the game. Viego is in the double-digit territory, and that is a scary half-man, half-demon soul person, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention the fact that like they have the scaling with the, or not that they have the scaling, but they've eliminated almost every chance for Murder of Crows to be able to reset, rescale, and get back in there. Just taking excellent care of not only the game state, but also each other's graveyards, making sure that everything is on the up and up. And it looks like that's going to be the slow death for Murder of Crows. It's just Jumbo taking more and more things until they finally feel like they've actually um, come to.
Yeah, Crescent Guard is popped from the Xin Zhao, but he gets slowed by the Skarner. Skarner ultimate is down. Most of the abilities are going to miss. Xin Zhao's going to be able to walk away. Skarner goes forward, and the team is just slightly behind him. Not going to be able to take advantage of this, but meanwhile in the bot lane, they find Sion. It's going to be a 1 versus 3. Are they going to be able to put the damage down to get the kill onto their carries? Volibear is likely going to be the one to get it. But meanwhile, Sion getting all that pressure on the bot side means that Jumbos are going to be able to take a Jumbo Baron.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you kind of just have to take what you can get at this point. And if that means we're going to get the top laner's life in exchange for a dragon when we couldn't have gotten the dragon anyway, like, sure, what are the more heroes we actually on?
Yeah, that's a hashtag worth in all chat right there.
All right. So, looks like we've entered a period of relative peace and prosperity for both teams. As that gold lead does shrink ever so slightly, again, inflation is real, and it will cause your League of Legends gold prices to go up. I'm surprised the shopkeeper's not changed the prices on me so far because he keeps selling them to me at warehouse discount Costco prices.
Lucky you, man. You can't hook me up?
I wish. I can only have one more person on my Costco membership, and I promised shopkeeper it would be him, so.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Alright, looks like we've got a flank angle from the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, he was looking for it, but they have to go through the front, and Jinx is already chunked significant HP, uses the barrier, but not going to be able to get it everyone. Has to flash away from the Sion ultimate, and Sion still full HP, while the rest of the enemy team just takes down the inhibitor. Is this going to be the final push?
Alright, so let's see if we can't gear up for a little bit of a fight around the Nexus. They're going to go ahead and try and get these Nexus turrets down in a quick manner, but they're actually not able to find it in. Oh, that's an engage.
Yeah, Vex engages but doesn't land onto a priority target. Xin Zhao uses the Crescent Guard, gets onto the backline before people are going to be able to get on him right away. And the Jinx is not going to be able to shred the Shrine before the rest of the team goes down. Ezreal just able to E forward on whoever he wants. And the CC is not going to be enough as Jumbos goes down onto the Nexus. Jinx gets death sentence but doesn't quite make it all the way onto the fountain. And in 25 minutes, 40 seconds, Jumbos takes down Murder of Crows.
And just an excellent game from Jumbos. Just really, really putting the. It reminds me of watching Korean games against the rest of the world, like maybe 7-8 years ago, when the entire strategy was like, we're just going to let the game come to us. We're going to find one advantage, and we're just going to keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it until the entire game breaks open. The difference is that instead of the other team trying to keep tempo, I think that Murder just kept kind of force it, and it just put them more and more behind quicker and quicker, and it was just too much by the time we hit that 25-minute mark.
Yeah, just all around the map, things were just falling apart so quickly. And I think that Skarner just caught them so off guard at the very beginning of the game. And you just feel perplexed, you feel flustered, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to answer it. So you just play the game as best you can instead of just taking the breath and saying, okay, here's what they have, here are their tools, here's how we play around their tools. And I just think they were never able to get over that initial shell shock.
Yeah, and I think that, and there's something to be said for just kind of getting walked down in all your lanes, not just the Skarner one, but like solo kills in every lane. Pardon, like maybe top you can say didn't start with a solo kill because they technically traded, but like I don't know, you can't have three losing lanes and expect to be winning games. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that these players are not capable of doing that. It's just that maybe they need to think a little bit harder about figuring out a way to be able to parlay themselves into the early game, into that jinx. Because like we still are looking at a team comp that makes sense. It just couldn't survive the early pressure coming out from Jumbos. And maybe they need to be a little bit more ready for that next time.
Yeah, I mean, if your plan is to scale, that means you want to go slow and steady. You don't want to fight. You want to take any kind of guaranteed gold that you can get, and well, the guaranteed goal that they got just was not enough in the end to make it happen. So Jumbos goes up to 2-0 on the season so far. Murderer Crows on the opposite end of that, 0-2. And I mean, Jumbo's just looking at their roster from a pure Evo rating, just looks so stacked all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that any of these teams are definitely a threat, but Jumbos is one of the newer teams on the block that I know the announcers are kind of looking forward to seeing, just because we felt like they had what it takes, and so far they have. This game was not particularly close at all whatsoever, and it really felt like they had it the entire time, starting at even minute one, where they just chunked out the Vex in the mid lane just to start it off, despite not necessarily taking any spells that would actually execute. It was just they were advantaged from the moment they saw each other on the map.
Yeah, from minute one onward, it just felt like unending despair. Um, What I really liked seeing from Murder of Crows, though, I mean, we have to take some kind of highlights from them, right? They found some angles, they were able to find some ways. It was just too far gone by the time they were able to find those fights. But like you said, they just needed to play for scaling.
Yeah, and the thing is, playing for scaling doesn't necessarily mean you don't do anything, but there's a time and a place for doing things and a time and a place for not, and they needed to consider maybe playing a little bit safer throughout that game, especially after they kind of lost that initial couple those initial first few minutes of the game. You just gotta kind of calm down. You gotta reset mentally, and you gotta decide, make a business decision, as we call it, to give up some of these objectives, but maybe not give up the entire game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just
And
like you said, you don't just roll over and give everything to them because then you're just giving your Nexus at that point.
yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how the game ended. They ended up giving up their Nexus. That being said, I think we're going to get into this third game here shortly. I think that's going to be myself, Kazi Baker, and Ackolyte going ahead and signing off for the night. Do you have any last words for the people, Ackolyte?
Nothing too crazy besides I'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you guys next week. We're going to be handing it back off. Y'all have a good one.